Hey, this is Malika of Evanston Live TV, and I have with me today President of District 65, Anya Tanyavutti. Welcome back, Anya.
Thank you for having me, Malika. I'm sorry it's not for a more joyful occasion.
Yeah, yeah, I've been very concerned about you, concerned about Dr. Horton. You all have been receiving, for those who don't know, Dr. Horton, Devon Horton, is superintendent of District 65, and Anya is president of District 65, and the two of them have been receiving hate emails, death threats. Very, very serious. I know if I was in your position, I would be very concerned, especially being a mother. You have a family. Dr. Horton has a family. So you all are very concerned, and rightfully so. So what has been going on? What started this?
Yeah, so there was a Fox News article that had a very inflammatory headline that I believe was meant to incite fear and action by white supremacists and white nationalists. And that was published a couple of weeks ago, and very quickly after that publication was released, we received an inundation of social media activity as well as emails. Some of those emails have come solely to myself, our superintendent, and our deputy superintendent, and we are the only Black high-profile leaders. So I believe that the reason for those emails to come only to us and not to the rest of my school board colleagues is intentional. The email that I particularly wanted to share with you today was sent to the entire board and was addressed to one of my other board colleagues. And it's the most threatening and most troubling one, and it's laced with lots of racism, unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
I said, goodness gracious. What is going on? We know racism exists in Evanston, but the racism in Evanston is very, very hidden. And but it seems as of lately, we had the incident at the beach with the Confederate flag. I know myself and State Representative LaShawn Ford, we've received some crazy emails because of, the bill that we're pushing for abolishing American history lessons until they get it right. And now you and Dr. Horton, they're just really coming out of the woodwork. Like, they're not even hiding it anymore.
Yes, and I think that it's pretty difficult to detangle implicit racism and explicit racism. They have the same intent, and it's important for us to recognize that. And I think that what we're seeing is content coming from outside of our community that is explicitly racist, but we have certainly have a very long history in our community of having implicit racism as the accepted cultural norm. And what we are seeking to do is to dismantle both the expression of explicit and implicit racism and how it impacts all of us and impacts most violently and most harmfully our most marginalized communities, racially marginalized communities. So we were initially advised, we had intended as a school board to share this threatening email with our community, and we also intended to share our open letter at our Working and Finance Board meeting on August 10th, but we were advised that day to hold off. So we did.
Why? Why would they want you to hold off?
By the investigating units, we were told to hold off. So we followed that advice, but we then we received a Freedom of Information Act request for the email, and those investigative bodies told us that we could release the email with some redacted information. And so I felt like it was really important for our entire community to understand what the content of the messaging was, rather than just a couple of folks who understand how to file a FOIA. So that's one of the reasons why we are comfortable with releasing the content of this email now, so that we can be clear and explicit about the threats that have been aimed at our community, specifically at the important work of our school district and us as leaders of the district. And so some of the most explicit threats in this particular email are not directly directed at me. They're directed at our district and our district administrative leaders and some of my fellow board members, unfortunately.
Okay.
Would you be okay with me reading the content?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you if you would read it to us.
Okay.
Let's hear what these nuts have to say.
Yeah, so this, I just want to forewarn anyone who's listening, give this content warning, that this email expresses racist ideas that are harmful to hear. And if you don't wish to hear them, you probably should not listen to the next segment of this conversation. And that's and we also did not necessarily want to publish the email because we don't want it to live in perpetuity with harmful content. That's one of the reasons why we have not published it and put it up for people to read and hear. So it's a little clunky because I am going to have to read some sections where names are redacted. And also there may be some sections that are a little hard to understand, and mostly that's because they're rooted in racist ideology, and racist ideology doesn't make a lot of sense. So the subject line of this email is discrimination against Asians in District 65. And it was sent to us by a person by the name of Christian Eads, according to their email. But anybody can make an email with any name. Dear name redacted. Regarding the discrimination directed against children who look like you by Black supremacist superintendent, name redacted, and deputy superintendent, name redacted, as described via the national media link and the Evanston media reference below, quote, "We are in a pandemic," end quote, name redacted said. According to a report from the Evanston Roundtable on Tuesday, but there was I think another quote supposed to be there, but there was a pandemic before this. That was inequity and racism and classism and all bold print, all these other things, end quote. Parentheses, emphasis added to point out the intellectual depth of name redacted's hate, end parentheses. Name redacted said the prioritized categories include, quote, students receiving free and reduced lunch, Black and brown students, students who received an I or incomplete in bold print, or less than 50% on their report cards. Parentheses, emphasis added to point out the depth of name redacted's hate in giving Black, token brown, and Black failing students preferences over overachieving, parentheses, Asian students, in parentheses. emerging bilinguals, and students with IEPs. Parentheses added to show the real hate-filled Black supremacist agenda. So, name redacted. If I understand name redacteds and name redacteds, progressive hate, kids who have melanin content like yours aren't welcome in District 65. And if they already are there, to the irritation of the anthem kneeling, name redacted and name redacted, these kids can sit the hell at home while kids with more deserving melanin and fashionable sexual behaviors and failing performance get all the attention from your school district. Have you chatted with name redacted and name redacted about the fact that there are no board members who have the approved Black melanin content and the coming repercussion to you three because you don't? And how about the brown melanin content of the members of your board? You think the Latin American, Indian, Pakistani, and stylish sexual identity behavioral categories of your colleagues are going to mollify name redacted and name redacted for long? They're going to be taking their industrial grade lasers, IEDs, and bolt cutters to your house next. And as they sit in the middle of a mob outside of your house and scream out that the street in front of your house is their street and not yours, you remember what you didn't do to stop the disgusting discrimination. And understand, name redacted, that it will be too late to have a civilized discussion about absentee fathers, broken Black nuclear families, and Asian family emphasis on intact families and educational performance that are at the heart of Black and yellow educational and incarceration differences. You are a disgrace to your school district and your race, name redacted. As you apparently did nothing to stop these two Black supremacists, your failure to take them verbally or via lawsuit by the collar and remind them of the Black privilege emanating from $15 trillion in reparations paid to the Black community since 1964 in the form of affirmative action, preference, set-asides, and quotas means you should be removed yesterday because you said nothing as evil flourished and kids who look like you were put at the back of the bus. Listen closely. Tick-tock, name redacted, because something wicked is coming for you next. Christianese.
Oh, Lord. Lord Jesus, goodness gracious. That was chilling, especially towards the end. It is people out there that need some serious help. You know, people often talk about if racism is a form of mental illness. You as a mom, I know you are very concerned. So what are the actions you all have taken to make sure that you're safe and protected?
Well, it's definitely a troubling email to read. It came to us at 11:30 at night on a Friday. Not something that we were expecting, though it was coming in the midst of receiving a lot of inflammatory emails. But that one was particularly chilling and directly threatening and explicitly racist. He taps on so many racist tropes as well as so much homophobia. It's just very troubling and hateful message. I think that probably what's most critical for us to have a sense of public safety in the face of this type of attack and hateful messaging is that our community stand tall for what we believe in, and that those of us who are in seats of power not be deterred from ensuring that everyone is well, with a particular attention to the most vulnerable. I think that is probably the greatest public safety that we can offer at this moment. But for the most part, there has not, the person who sent this email has not been identified. We don't know where, we don't know if the email is a true identity or if it's an alias of sorts. We don't, I think we're presuming that this came from outside of this locality, but there's no way to determine that with certainty. And right now we're relying on the FBI to utilize the tools at their disposal to try to identify that, as the Evanston Police Department has communicated that they've exhausted all of the tools at their disposal, and they were not able to identify who the sender was or where he is. And I'm hoping at the very least the sender can be identified and it can be verified for us whether or not he has violent intent, and if he does have violent intent, if he has the capability of carrying that out, and where he's located. But right now we don't have that information, and it's definitely an insecure place to be in. But I think our community needs to make it clear that these folks do not stand for what our community stands for, and that we, in fact, do love and cherish each other, and we will stand tall against anyone who seeks to harm any, particularly vulnerable people in our community.
Well, I hate that you are going through this. You're such a good person. You care about people. You care about children. You're a great mom. You've been such an asset to District 65, and it's just horrible that that you're going through this, and that the board is going through this. And Dr. Horton is new, coming on. So, wow. But the two of you have very thick skin. That I do know. So, they're messing with the wrong ones. I will say that for sure. So what's
yeah,
next?
I do believe that their intent is to intimidate. And what I can say confidently is that while this content is deeply concerning and offensive, it does not intimidate us. We are not deterred from what we know is right for our community and for the kids and families that we serve. And so if the intention is intimidation alone, then that's not going to work. We just need to be clear that it's not something more nefarious than that.
Goodness gracious, girl. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You all are doing all that you can for the youth in terms of their education, and you're faced with this.
Yeah, I think that, what our collective public needs to probably reflect on as well is who is sending this information to Fox News. who was sending the information about our school district to Breitbart and these other white nationalist outlets that are mischaracterizing our district intentionally to inflame this kind of reaction. I mean, not that white nationalists are not prepared to be inflamed against marginalized populations. They certainly intend to be harmful and violent, but they are being triggered by these outlets, and it seems as if there's some intention. I don't believe that Fox News National.
Okay, so we had some technical difficulties there. I don't know, my Zoom is just like tripping today. I don't know what's happening. I think I'm overusing Zoom. I live on Zoom now. But
as many of us do.
Yes, yes. So I'm not even sure where it cut us off at, but I know that, you know, we're concerned about your safety. I believe that that TikTok at the end and something is coming for you, that sounds psychotic. That sounds like somebody who is not too stable and probably a wild card, so you don't know what they're going to do. So is Evanston Police, are they having a car circle, you know, your home, you and Dr. Horton and everybody on the board?
They did offer details to watch our home. I personally did not necessarily want a police detail in front of my home. I have had some experiences with EPD where that doesn't make me feel more safe. And I didn't know if it would make my neighborhood safe to be policed in that way. But my colleagues were also offered that, and I'm not sure who's taken EPD up on that or not. It was also communicated to us that it was determined that that was not perceived as a threat, that it doesn't rise to the level of criminal threat. And that
TikTok,
the person
something that's coming for you. That sounds like that's a threat. I would categorize that as
it certainly felt threatening to us to read it, and then because it specifically names an individual, it says TikTok to a person, something wicked is coming for you. It's certainly not a compliment. It's not a positive promise. It feels threatening. But what we were told was because it wasn't specific, it doesn't rise to the level of criminal threat because it doesn't threaten to do anything specific.
I think you should take the police up on their offer to have someone have a car patrol around your block. I know they did that for me once. Somebody was watching me. They had, you know, described personal information that let me know that they were watching. And EPD did, for about a month, had someone patrolling around my block. And it made me feel safer because if something was to happen, at least, you know, I knew a police officer was somewhere in the vicinity. It made me feel better to know that there were eyes watching, just in case anything. Thank God nothing happened. Yeah, thank God nothing happened, but that it was comforting. So I don't know, you might want to take them up on that, just, you know.
Well, if Yeah, I'll reflect on that. I've had some experiences where I did not necessarily feel like my safety or my family's safety was a priority, or my neighborhood's experience of safety was a priority, and so I I'm concerned about introducing additional policing to our already over policed neighborhood um, in by an institution that hasn't necessarily treated me with kindness and respect. But
Well, that
I
sounds like
appreciate you
another
sharing that
Zoom.
experience and that reflection, and I will take it seriously. And I thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like another Zoom conversation that we need to, that we need to have.
Mm.
Um, well, gosh, Anya, so I'm worried about you guys. I mean, Dr. Horton is wonderful. You're wonderful. I'm concerned. I know you're used to, you two have very thick skin, and you're used to, receiving emails from parents who aren't happy with the way things are going. And I know you do your best to try to make sure that everyone is all right. But this is not just an upset parent. This is a crazy person. Um, well, girl, the door is always open here at Evanston Live TV. If there's anything else you want to get out about this situation, I pray that it goes away. I pray that it goes away. What?
Yeah, so the communications have certainly lessened significantly, the activity on social media as well as the emails. But the reality is that, like I said, there is someone who particularly is inciting this reaction, and this information has been circulated among white supremacists. And white supremacists are always, and white nationalists are always a violent and threatening entity. And if the information is with them, that is a concern. Um,
And it
but
went so far as to put it
given that
in
we
a box.
certainly seek to oppose white supremacy,
Mhm.
I think that, one thing we can be proud of is that when we are simply operating in our values, our beliefs, and our commitment to our community, white supremacists feel threatened by that.
Mhm.
So we are certainly being successful in our anti-racist commitment because it's making them uncomfortable. And so in that regard, in many ways, we're on the right track and really rooting out racism through policy and practice. But we certainly don't want, we're not looking for their attention. We don't want it. We don't want violent people obsessed with our district and our community.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Anya. And yeah, usually when you come onto the show, you're giving us some great information about District 65. So again, I just hate that you're going through this. And but I say this, District 65, you guys must be, doing a great job that they're coming in trying to stop you, intimidate you, scare you, distract you. Um, what's that saying? New level, new devil. So, I mean, you've been,
I heard of that.
yes, new level, new devil. So here you are. Now you're president. Dr. Horton has stepped into superintendent. So those are new levels. So now you have new devils because you guys are proactive. Um, you make things happen. You're not just talkers, you're doers. And people see that as a threat to what they think is a threat to their supremacy. to their norm, being the superior race. And that's just very unfortunate. So it just shows that you all are on the right path, that you're on the right path, that they're trying to stop you or intimidate you.
Well, thank you for making the time. Sorry that it was not a more joyful opportunity for us to come together, though there are plenty of joys and successes in our community. Unfortunately, this is also something that we need our community to know about. And we want to try to be as transparent and accessible as possible as a district. And Malika, I appreciate you and the role that you play in our community in terms of bringing voices to our community that don't always get heard, and bringing perspectives to our community that don't always get heard. So thank you for taking a little bit of time and energy today to do this.
Right. Well, thank you, as always. And you know, the door is always open to you here at Evanston Live TV. Always, always. So, girl, till next time we meet.
Yeah, and you hang in there too. I'm really sorry to hear that these folks are coming after you and Representative Ford. That's really troubling to hear, but you all also must be on the right track if those are the folks who are getting upset.
Mm-hmm. I truly believe that. So we just got to keep going. So know that we've got your back. You've got our support. Whatever you all need, you know, just let me know. Whatever I can do.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Anya, you have a great day, lady.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, this is Malika, Evanston Live TV. That was Anya Tanyavutti, president of District 65. And, you know, let's keep a prayer of protection around District 65, around the board, Dr. Devon Horton, Anya, everyone that is on the board, the administrative staff. Let's just keep them in our prayers of protection against those who just are filled with hate in their heart. And, you know, I don't know how we cure this or heal that. As Michelle Obama says, it is what it is, but we just have to keep going, keep doing the work, just keep doing the work. Obviously, it's working, that they're trying to stop people. All right, you guys have a great day out there. Be safe, be careful. We are still in a pandemic. Please, people, wear your masks, keep your distance as best you can, and stay alert and stay aware out there.